Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is the Dark Knight Duelist coming at you with a $30 budget deck build for the Cyber Strike structure deck that I just recently reviewed just a couple days ago. Now, everything you need to make this deck is literally in this structure deck. You just need 3 of them. And you pretty much are guaranteed all the cards in each and every single one of them. Now, everybody builds budget decks a little bit differently. Everybody does it differently. So this is how I'm building it. And, I kind of had to play with the ratios to see what would work best. And, I'm pretty sure there's going to be some cards that you guys think I would want to have in my deck. So please, feel free to let me know down below. And I will also be making more of a competitive version of this. And I'll explain more what kind of cards you can actually use in in the deck to make it a little more powerful to make a run for you locals and stuff like that. So without further ado, let's get on straight to the review. Okie dokie. So first off, we're going to be playing 3 copies of Cyber Dark Claw. And its effect reads, if this card is sent to the graveyard while equipped to a monster, you can target 1 Cyber Dark monster in your graveyard. Add it to your hand. You can only use each of the following effects of Cyber Dark Claw once per turn. You can discard this card, add 1 Cyber Dark spell or trap from your deck to your hand. And effect number 2, during damage calculation, if a monster equipped with this card battles, you can send 1 monster from your extra deck to the graveyard. So those are some really powerful effects right there. I mean, for the fact of being able to add 1 Cyber Dark spell or trap from your deck straight to your hand, that's pretty insane. So we're going to hit them off right there. Now, like I said before, I'm doing this deck a little bit differently, but this is my budget build of it. And, I think it'd just be kind of unique. Next off, we're playing 3 copies of Cyber Dark Cannon. If this card is sent to the graveyard while equipped to a monster, you can draw 1 card. You can only use each of the following effects of Cyber Dark Cannon once per turn. You can discard this card, add 1 machine Cyber Dark monster from your deck to your hand. During damage calculation, if a monster equipped with this card battles, you can send 1 monster from your deck to the graveyard. So, I like these effects right here, being able to discard this guy and add 1 Cyber Dark machine from your hand, which is going to be which is going to be Cyber Dark Chimera, which is also going to be one of the combos that I'm going to start showing with the next review when I do the Blue Eyes deck. So next, we're going to be playing 2 copies of Cyber Dark Chimera. You can discard 1 spell, trap, add 1 power bond from your deck to your hand. See, already good. Power Bond is one of those cards that is pretty much for an end game. So, yeah, this is pretty much the searcher for Power Bond. You can only use Dragon or Machine Cyber monsters as fusion material this turn, which is not going to be a problem because you got Dragons and Machines. So, this turn. Also, when you fusion summon this turn, you can also banish monster or monsters from your graveyard as material. If this card is sent to the graveyard, you can send 1 Cyber Dark monster from your deck to the graveyard with a different name from the cards in your graveyard. So that is a really, really good effect right there. To be able to search Power Bond, I mean, you're talking about getting powerhouses like Cyber End Dragon or Cyber Dark End Dragon. I believe that's the name of it. Yeah, Cyber Dark End Dragon, which is more of a stronger monster than what the Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon is with Seto Kaiba's deck. So next off, you're going to be playing one copy of Cyberdark Keel, Edge, and Horn. Each of them have some really good effects. However, like with Cyberdark Horn, his effect is if this card is normal summon, target one level 3 or lower dragon monster in your graveyard, equip that dragon monster to this card. Gains attack equal to the original attack of the monster equipped to it by this effect. And basically, pretty much with Cyberdark Horn, this guy also inflicts piercing battle damage. So if you battle a monster in defense mode, it can literally still give your opponent damage. Let's see. So pretty much almost all of these have the same effect, except this one does a piercing. This guy can attack directly. If it does using this effect, its attack is halved during the damage calculation only. So the only downside with this is that let's say that it equips one of these Cyberdark monsters on there, and so it will not be able to have like the full attack, unfortunately. But you can still attack your opponent directly. And then Cyberdark Keel shares the same effect. If this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle, inflict 300 damage to your opponent. If this card would be destroyed by battle, destroy that equipped monster instead. So basically, in other words, all of these cards share the same effect. The main effect that you can target one level 3 or lower dragon monster in your graveyard and equip it to this card, and it gains attack points. But like I said before, like with Horn, it does piercing battle damage, and I kind of like that. That's kind of unique. This one, let's see, does burn, and this one can attack directly if the attack points are halved. So really nice effects. I only do one copy of each. You're not going to need 3 copies of each, but like I said, you can build the deck however you want it. This is how like I'm building it, and I've been looking at different ratios to see like what would work best. And this is just more for like going to like locals or whatnot. Like I'm not 100% sure how well this would be going up against that, but I guess we'll see. Next off, you're going to be playing 3 copies of Cyber Dragon Core, which is the main engine for the Cyber Dragon. Now, this is all of the Cyberdark, so we're done with that portion right now. Now, most of these, so these Cyber Dragons that I have in this deck, all of them have the same effect, is that the name becomes Cyber Dragon while on the field or in the graveyard. And so this is what we have here, Cyber Dragon Core, which if only your opponent controls a monster, you can banish this card from your graveyard, special summon one Cyber Dragon monster from your deck. You can only use one Cyber Dragon Core effect per turn and only once that turn. Oh, and I almost forgot, if this card is normal summon, you can add one Cyber spell or trap from your deck to your hand, which I don't recall. Oh, yeah, I have some. So I got some Cyber cards, and I'll show those more here in a little bit. Next off, we're going to be playing one Cyber Dragon Hertz. Its effect is pretty much the same as Core. It becomes Cyber Dragon on the field or in the graveyard. If this card is special summon, you can make this card's level become 5 until the end of this turn. You cannot special summon monsters for the rest of this turn except machine monsters, which that's not going to be much of a problem. If this card is sent to the graveyard, you can add one other Cyber Dragon from your deck or graveyard to your hand. So, like any monster that is already in the graveyard, any Cyber Dragon monsters you can bring back to your hand. So, pretty neat. We're going to be playing the one copy of the Cyber Dragon Nasher. its effect, you can discard one other monster, special summon this card from your hand. If this card is normal special summon, you can target one machine monster with 2100 attack or defense in your graveyard, special summon it. Also, you cannot special summon monsters for the rest of this turn except machine monsters. So, some of these monsters, like right here, it kind of does limit you, but in that situation, I think you pretty much want to go for like the Cyber End Dragon, which is basically more of your end game kind of monster. So, and also, I'm also running 3 original Cyber Dragons. Now, you cannot do a Cyber Dragon part without all 3 copies. Now, I've seen people run 2 or 1 copy. I like 3 just because, for one, just in case if one gets sent to the graveyard or if one gets banished, you have that extra 1. And yes, all these other ones do share the common ability. However, I just like the original. So, and I'm pretty sure everybody knows what Cyber Dragon's ability is. And to round off the monsters, now I decided to add this Cyber Dragon Veer. So, if you normal or special summon Cyber Dragon except during the damage step, you can special summon this card from your hand in defense position. You can only use this effect of Cyber Dragon Veer once per turn. Each Cyber Dragon you control gains 500 attack and defense. So that's actually a really cool card right there. Now, I know not a lot of people are actually going to be playing this, but for me, I kind of like having it in the deck just so it gives like an extra special summon. So, and that is it for the monsters. So let's move on to the spells. Let me grab these. So for the spells, we're running 3 copies of Cyber Dark Realm. In its effect, when this card is activated, you can add 1 Cyber Dark monster from your deck to your hand with a different name from the cards in your graveyard. During your main phase, you can immediately after this effect resolves, special summon 1 Cyber Dark monster. You can only use the previous effect of Cyber Dark Realm once per turn. If you equip a monster from your graveyard by the effect of Cyber Dark monster that activated when it was normal special summon, you can equip from your opponent's graveyard instead. Wow, that's actually pretty cool. Get to equip a monster from your opponent's graveyard. At least that's, I believe, how it runs. So I'm running 3 of those. Next, we're playing 2 copies of Cybernetic Horizon. Now, this card is always treated as a Cyberdark card, so any says a Cyberdark card. You can send 2 dragon or machine cyber monsters with different attributes to the graveyard, one each from your hand and deck. Add 1 dragon or machine cyber monster from your deck to your hand. And if you do, send 1 machine cyber fusion monster from your extra deck to the graveyard. You can only activate 1 Cybernetic Horizon per turn. You cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck. This turn you activate this card except machine monsters. And most of the extra deck monsters are machines. So, next off, we're playing 1 Cyber Dark Inferno. I was thinking about playing it at 2. However, because since I added a few extra monsters, I kind of had to dim down the ratios. But this is how I kind of like building it, and I think it works best for me. So, Cyber Dark Inferno. Cyber Dark effect monsters you control that are equipped with an equip card cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. Also, your opponent cannot target them with card effects. You can target 1 Cyber Dark monster you control, return it to the hand, then immediately after this effect resolves, you can normal summon 1 Cyber Dark monster. Wow, that's actually pretty kind of cool. You can only use this effect as Cyber Dark Inferno once per turn. If this card is in its owner's control, destroyed by opponent's card effect, you can add one polymerization spell or fusion spell card from your deck to your hand. Wow. So, and that's actually going to be coming up here pretty soon, and we'll show that combo. Next off, we're going to be playing 2 copies of Cyber Emergency. Add 1 light machine monster that cannot be normal summoned, set, or 1 Cyber Dragon monster from your deck to your hand. If the activation of this card in its owner's possession was negated by your opponent's card effect, wow, you can discard 1 card, add this card to your hand. Wow. So that's kind of interesting. Adding one light monster that cannot be normal summoned, set, or 1 Cyber Dragon monster from your deck to your hand. That's kind of sweet. Playing 2 of those. And we're playing 2 copies of Power Bond. Now this one also, I like Power Bond just because it is a good power kind of card to where you have your fusion material monsters. And you can literally get this guy up to, depending on which monster you do, you could do up to 8k or up to 10k attack. But the only downside is at the end of the damage step, the owner would take damage equal to the amount of damage equal to the amount of attack gain from this effect at the time of the summon. So you want to make sure that you have this set up for endgame, because you do not want to have this effect, because let's say that you're doing Cyber End Dragon, you're going to lose 4,000 life points. So, and to round off the spells, we're going to be playing 1 Overload Fusion. Now, the Cyber Emergency, I believe it was, or the Cyber Dark Inferno, you can actually use this to bring this guy out, to where you can fusion summon 1 Dark Machine fusion monster from your extra deck by banishing fusion materials listed on it from your field or graveyard. So, I think that's pretty kind of cool. So that rounds up all the magic. Let's get on to the traps. So, there is some traps we're playing. Excuse me. First off, we're going to be playing 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence. One of the best hand traps in the deck. And right there and then, if you're playing a different kind of deck and you just want a staple, Infinite Impermanence is not a bad card. And like I said before, the next one that's going to be coming up is going to be the Blue Eyes White Destiny deck, which that's going to be coming here relatively soon, so stay tuned for that. Its effect, target 1 face-up monster your opponent controls, negate its effect until the end of this turn. Then if this card was set before activation and is on the field as resolution for the rest of this turn, all other spell/trap effects in this column are negated. If you control no cards, you can activate this card from your hand. Wow. Nice, pretty good effects. And so, this is actually one of the combos I'm actually going to show you. So, let's say that this one's set, activated. Anything in this column, right here, is negated. So, I think that's kind of cool. Next off, we're going to be playing 2 copies of Cyber Dark Invasion. Once per turn, you can activate one of the following effects. Target 1 Cyber Dark effect monster you control. Equip 1 dragon or machine monster from either graveyard to it as an equipped spell. That gives it 1,000 attack points. Secondary effect. Send 1 equipped card you control equipped to machine monster to the graveyard. Destroy 1 card your opponent controls. So, You basically destroy. You send one card to the graveyard and destroy you destroy one of your opponent's cards. So pretty cool. Excuse me. One copy of Paleozoic Canada. Target one face-up monster your opponent controls. Change it to face-down defense position. Once per chain. When a trap card is activated while this card is in your graveyard, you can special summon this card as a normal monster. If summoned this way, this card is unaffected by monster effects. Also, banish it when it leaves the field. So, basically, let's say that this Kai is in the graveyard. You can bring this back as a aqua water monster, level 2, 1200 defense. And this card is not treated as a trap. And with this being unaffected by monster effects, it kind of also helps out. So let's say that you are in a tough spot and you don't have any other monsters. You can bring this guy back from the graveyard and almost likely run 2 of these in a later deck profile. So, and last but not least, we have one cybernetic overflow. Banish cyber dragon or dragons with different levels from your hand, face up in or graveyard, then destroy an equal number of cards your opponent controls. If this card on the field is destroyed by card effect, add one cyber spell/trap from your deck to your hand. You can only use each effect of cybernetic overflow once per turn. So I'll most likely play 2 copies of each. I'm not 100% sure yet. I'm still working around with the ratio. So that is it for the main deck. Let's get on to the extra deck. So the extra deck has 5 monsters of each, which is perfect. So to start off with, we're playing 3 copies of Cyber End Dragon. And this guy does piercing damage, so any monster battles in defense mode, the opponent will still take battle damage. Playing 3 copies of Cyber Dark End Dragon. Now this guy is going to be like one of the hardest ones to summon out, because you have to get 1 Cyber Dark Dragon and 1 Cyber End Dragon to make it, which some of the combos, you can literally have this guy sitting at 10k with like a infinite impermanence or other ones at your disposal. You'll be all set to go. Let's see. Unaffected. Okay, so it must be either fusion summon or special summon by Tribune 1 level 10 or lower Cyber Dark fusion monster equipped with a Cyber End Dragon unaffected by your opponent's activated effects. Once per turn, you can equip 1 monster from either graveyard to this card. This card can attack a number of times each battle phase up to the number of equipped cards equipped to it. Wow. That's pretty insane right there. Next up, you're playing 3 copies of Chimera Tech Over Dragon. And so it takes 1 Cyber Dragon plus 1 plus machine monsters. So must be fusion summon. So you can send a certain amount of machine monsters to the graveyard. And this card will literally gain 800 times the amount of monsters. So, let's say that you dump, so if you dump 5 monsters, hang on, let me get the calculator out. 14 math was never my strong suit. So if you dump 5 monsters in the graveyard, this guy would be at 4,000. or if you keep sending more, it will gain more attack points. So I think that's kind of cool. Alrighty, so we're coming down the stretch here, guys. So this guy, Cyber Darkness Dragon, 5 Cyber Dark effect monsters. So any of the Cyber Dark monsters that I mentioned earlier, it'd be able to get this guy. Must first be fusion summoned. If this card is special summoned, you can equip 1 Dragon and Machine monster from your graveyard to this card, gains attack equal to original attack. I think pretty much the others. When your opponent activates a card or effect, quick effect, you can send 1 equipped card you control to the graveyard, negate the activation. If you do, destroy that card. So pretty much these guys all share the same, almost the same effect as the Cyber Darks. Oops. Let me bring you right over here. And last but not least, the Cyber Dark Dragon. Now, for this guy, you must have Cyber Dark Horn, Edge, and Keel to make it fusion summon. If this card is special summon, target 1 dragon monster in your graveyard. Equip that target to this card. Gains attack equal to the original attack of that monster equipped by this effect. Gains 100 attack for each monster in your graveyard. If this card would be destroyed by battle, destroy that equipped monster instead. So pretty much almost all of the Cyber Darks share that same effect. So, like I said, it's not a bad build. This is how I did it, and I'm going to try it out to see if it actually works, and then I might do an update video in the future and let you know how it goes. So, sorry about that. I accidentally hit the camera. So, but I mean, it's not a bad deck. I mean, you can really OTK your opponent with some of the pretty crazy combos here. But the way the deck is, I think you're going to have like a really good time with this deck. So, but yeah, I think that's pretty much we'll cover it for today. Like I said, I'm really excited about the Blue Eyes deck that's coming out. So be on the lookout for that, and that should be coming here relatively soon. So until next time, guys, this is the Dark Knight Duelist. Signing off. Catch you guys next time.